What's happening, folks? So, I have a rant. This is my NBA rant. As most know, I am a Sixers fan. Philadelphia sports fan is how I would describe myself. And because of that, I am a Sixers fan. I have a lot of group chats that I'm a part of. And I shared my issues in terms of how the Sixers were approaching the series against New York specifically. To me, it seemed that after that 7-game series against Boston, our guys, if we're really going to make a series against the Knicks, then theoretically we should really consider what game one looks like, even in terms of personnel we make available. My eyes told me that our guys were spent. We won Game 7. I know it was Paul George's birthday, so he was 36. Joel Embiid obviously had a masterful performance. Tyrese Maxey has been averaging 45 minutes a game. And I just thought, okay, before jumping into this Knicks series, we may want to consider playing other guys. I'm in a few group chats and they jumped on me and said, that's not how it's done. And I agree. I understand that in the NBA, the stars play. But sometimes I'm troubled with that when I consider how important it is to win. And I then question, are we trying to truly win at all costs? Because there are going to be moments when your most talented players aren't at their best and lesser players can compete against them. Your body's your body, right? And so even thinking about the Sixers and the state of the Sixers going into the Knicks series, I felt, man, what an opportunity to play fresher, different legs. One, you get a chance to assess how they match up against the Knicks, who's playable in this series, if you will. And two, you're kind of giving your guys a chance to observe and catch a break. They were playing every other night. So why am I making this post now? Because last night I'm watching Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the New York Knicks. As most of you know, the Cleveland Cavaliers, even though it was a 2-point game at halftime, had a 22-point lead with 7 minutes left in the game. And I sat there and watched in slow motion the Knicks walk the Cavs down, including an 18-1 run. And here's my issue. Why won't they pull the stars from this game that obviously are now a detriment, in my opinion, to the outcome of this game? In most sports, coaches coach and push whatever button is needed to win the game. But what I've observed in the NBA specifically is that whoever makes the money gets the opportunity to win the game, not necessarily the makeup of your roster. So that's the backdrop. And then this morning, I hear this conversation on Get Up with Jason Williams and Mike Wilbon. And I gotta admit, it put into perspective exactly what I've lamented about how the NBA is managed, unlike other professional sports. And when Wilbon says it, it just hits me like a ton of bricks. This is what I was talking about with the Sixers series. Can't we just do something different in order to achieve winning at all costs? Or is the NBA subject to just playing the players who make the most money regardless? So I don't know. That's my rant about the NBA. If I were coaching in the NBA, I would pull whatever lever at any point in time that I needed to win. It just seems to make more sense. But when you hear coaches, even Kenny Atkinson post-game talk about the fact why he didn't go away from Harden, it really does speak to this old adage that, you go with who you know at all times. And even if you're seeing performance that isn't enough, you don't deviate from it. Interesting. What do you guys think? Is this how it's supposed to go, or is the NBA behind? I want to know your thoughts. Slim's thoughts.
TV, James Harden being targeted. At some point, though, even though he will catch a lot of flack today, I have to ask the adult-like question in the room. Why was James Harden in the game? At some point...
How was I talking about this?
Wait, at some point as a coach, if he's being targeted over and over and over again, he's had 3 assists, 6 turnovers throughout the course of the game. He's not having great impact. Maybe an offensive, defensive mindset, some kind of alternative strategy and thinking about.
Everything you're saying makes total sense, but emotionally, the NBA is different than all the other sports. NHL, a line change, there would have been a subtle change. We could ask PK about that. Baseball, there's going to be a substitution. You're going to find a way to take that person out of this humiliating and unsuccessful situation. The NFL, you're going to make a change, a personnel change there. The NBA, the star system and the power of stardom is such. James Harden's a former MVP, and a star, and a guy that if you listen to people around the league, there's already a handshake agreement to bring him back and give him a big contract.
It's also game 1. You can't lose your.
You can't lose it. You can't.
But my thing is, if you're coming out back-to-back game 7s and you're saying, hey, look, man, you're tired. Let me get somebody to spell you some minutes. You can talk him into.
You know how many coaches could do that? Maybe so. Phil Jackson could have done that. Pop could do it. Spoelstra could do it.